What kind of response might you hear if a healthcare provider makes the statement, "This is an interesting observation in our patients. Let's conduct a research project"? Who, me? I don't know anything about research. Of course, that isn't true since you're in this course. You've already been introduced to concepts such as developing a clinical question and how to conduct a lit search. I'm not listening. I hate research. I hate statistics. This statement is usually made out of fear of the unknown. Are you kidding? Research has nothing to do with clinical practice, and I have more important things to do. However, one cannot separate research from clinical practice. Research is the foundation for practice, education, and policy. Research will help the clinician interpret articles, apply those principles to practice, conduct projects. It contributes to personal knowledge base. It impacts practice beyond your own when you disseminate your findings from research projects. It helps to build support for grant applications, expand your career, and become a better clinician. Most healthcare providers who are clinicians are interested in outcomes research. Exactly what is outcomes research? AHRQ has defined it here on the slide for you, but basically it's the effect or impact of a healthcare practice on patient outcomes. It's the kind of research that people really care about. Outcomes research may not be considered equally rigorous compared to clinical trials and lab studies, but they are certainly of equal importance in providing medical care. For example, the lab studies prove the existence of heritability of obesity, but how is this condition treated in the real world? There are numerous gaps that exist in the literature between clinical and outcomes research that need to be filled. For example, damage to lung tissue and cystic fibrosis can be ameliorated by reducing inflammation. There are many studies that have examined the impact of omega-3 fatty acid supplements and serum markers of inflammation in CF children. However, there's only one published study that I could find to this date on the impact of taking those supplements on mucus production. The latter is all that really matters to a patient. Will this mean less time getting treatments if they take supplements? Then they've probably got good buy-in than telling them about a lab value. This slide depicts the common themes of outcomes research projects. They may involve patient safety, effectiveness of a practice, health equity, and others. Any study design can be used. Outcomes research is important to healthcare practitioners because now it is the driving force of medical practice. At one time, the sage on the stage model drove it. But today, because of multiple inputs, accumulating evidence, after all, over 8,000 published research articles appear each day in the body of literature. Patient-centered care. We're treating more chronic illness now and less acute illness. And of course, there's a lack of continuity of care among multiple caregivers. So we can't rely on someone who has known this patient for a very long time and serves as the sage. We have to rely on evidence to treat. There are 6 steps in conducting outcomes research. Hopefully, this course will help you develop several of these skill steps. First, identify the research topic, usually through an observation in practice. Develop a research question, and I'm sure that many of you have practiced doing this. Conduct a thorough review of the literature. Hopefully you've had this experience as well. Determine the methodology and statistical tests that you're going to need. Now, developing a research question, searching the lit, and looking at methodology are sort of iterative processes. You may write a PICO. You may have an idea of how you want to conduct the study, but once you look at the literature over and over again, you may have to go back and hone your PICO or change how you approach the problem. Of course, you'll need to get approval to conduct your research in human subjects. Collect, analyze, and disseminate your findings. This course hopefully will help you with several of these steps, particularly Step 3. Statistics is divided into 2 main categories. descriptive, and inferential. The former describes the sample being studied, and the latter makes inferences about the population. This is an overview of the statistical tests that you will learn about in this course. It's not an exhaustive list, but these statistics represent about 90% of the tests that are needed to conduct outcomes research projects. Every study will present descriptive and inferential statistics. This table displays the types of descriptive statistics that you will learn, such as measures of central tendency and measures of variability. This is important because it helps you select the appropriate inferential statistic. We'll also learn how to display descriptive data in graphs, charts, plots, number, percent, etc. This slide summarizes the statistical tests that measure differences between groups. A handy tool when you want to know if your intervention group came out differently from your control. Another type of inferential statistic is correlation. This test will tell us if two variables are related to each other and what the nature of that relationship might be. Regression moves us even further than correlation. It will tell us how much one variable can actually predict another. With so many statistical tests, how will I know which one to use? Fortunately, there are resources, including your text, and algorithms like the one you see on your screen to help select the appropriate statistical test. Once you learn the vocabulary of statistics, selecting the right one is easy. In this course, statistical calculations can be conducted by hand, and we will do some of these. However, we're also going to mainly rely on SPSS. This is a data analysis software which will make the job of conducting statistical questions and projects much easier. You'll want to rent this for 6 to 12 months, depending on the courses that you have to take in the future. You may want to consider a 12-month rental. So, let's get started with data analysis.